So just so you guys know, thanks for coming. Norm's gonna talk a little bit, but know that I'll try and keep a lookout for chat and things like that. But there'll be lots of time, I think, for questions at the end of both Norm's talk and a demo that we'll be giving. Okay, well, it's about 12:35. I say we get started. Thanks everyone for coming. Welcome to the first of what will be many of these tourist community meetings. But I'm going to turn it over to Norm to give his welcome and introductions and talk.
Thanks, Erin, and thanks all of you for taking some time out of your Friday afternoon to check in. As we were chatting a little bit before the session kicked off, I was noting that one of the many casualties of COVID has been sort of the informal and small group gatherings where so much important work takes place for groups like OLI, and we made the announcement or had a meeting just before the COVID break, discussing the next gen platform, but we really haven't had a chance to share out with the larger community progress since then. And it's been a pretty remarkable year of progress on that front. And so this seemed like a really good opportunity to check in, bring a larger group together, introduce the project and its need, and see where we go from here. So let's start with a basic fact. Erin, can you hit the slide? So at a very basic level, we want to lead off with the notion that hey, Nabaru, can I get you to thank you. So let's start with this basic fact. The legacy OLI platform, or though we've been referring to it as the legacy platform, the platform that we're all using right now was built in 2006. It has had a remarkable lifespan for a piece of educational technology. And, we are all aware in different ways of some of the major shortcomings of that platform. It's got a lot of strengths. It's got a lot of shortcomings, but I want to celebrate this platform in one particular way before we talk about what comes next. Erin, can you slide? So, and this is, many of you, I think, remember John Rinderly. He's one of the original developers and architects of the OLI system. And in 2013, John and I had a pretty detailed conversation about where he thought the upper limit was before the system was going to start giving us problems. His belief was that around 15,000 academic enrollments was the place where we were going to start to see major issues. And we're really going to need to think about major changes or fresh development. So that was 7 years ago. Erin? Here's where we are today. I'm showing you here a comparison of our total enrollments for the 2019 year against our current enrollments. You can see that green line ends in December. And I show you this slide, one, because I'd really like to celebrate the technical team that has made this possible, as well as the learning engineering team that's put together the resources, and all of you who have been authoring the kind of content that folks have found really valuable. This has been an absolutely amazing growth. And I think that in the face of COVID, we've seen an enormous number of institutions look to us for help and finding that the kind of active asynchronous learning opportunities that you all are developing have really real value. And so that's been really exciting and has really launched an awful lot of partnerships for us. So pretty exciting chart, but just to emphasize, slide. This year, we are serving 5 times that initial estimate on our production system, and that's enormous. Part of what has allowed us to keep going in the face of this has been just an endless series of tinkering and tweaks and adjustments. The reality here is that Raphael's work as a systems administrator with some support from Gene Hastings has been simply off the charts. But this growth has really taken what we knew to be some OLI weaknesses and highlighted them. And the reality is that those weaknesses on the DevOps side, our ability to serve this large of a population effectively, aren't the only weaknesses that we know are in place with the legacy system. All of us have struggled with some of the really strict limitations that are put in place around our current semantic model. All of us have struggled with the limitations that are in place, both around theme, around our ability to fine tune look and feel of the system, our ability to more effectively deliver an appropriately responsive and accessible design, the ability to make rapid changes, the ability to ease into the publishing process. So there, though the platform has served us well, we've got this huge slide deck. We know that we've got some needs coming. Aaron? And so when we think about what the future of OLI is and what the future of our technology needs are, one of the things that we wanted to emphasize as we started thinking about this is, what do we not want to lose? We know that there's an awful lot of stuff that we need to do better or start doing at all. But before we get there, what is it that OLI has really done well since 2006? And we think that, we've really, we think, set the standard for what constitutes science-informed and learner-centric adaptive courseware. We really are distinctive from most platforms in having that sequenced and integrated learning experience with an emphasis on data and an emphasis on integrating with a larger research community. We've been very successful with third-party activity integration, although that's come at a cost. And generally, compared to many other academic projects, our content development, management, and production quality are generally regarded as pretty high. We managed to deliver a pretty good experience. But we know that there's lots of stuff that we need to do better. Slide. And so what are those? One, we've needed for a long time an easier path for authoring. I think that the original OLI model, where we have a very small, very sophisticated team is going to go in and manipulate your XML, has been an incredibly limiting factor for us. And we really want to involve a larger population in developing and improving these kinds of courses and engaging this kind of research. Anyone that has had to engage with our publishing process knows that it has been painful. And we know that this ability to make rapid changes where appropriate, to put more of an ability to quickly update content in the author or the instructor's hands is important. And frankly, giving individual faculty the chance to make some targeted customizations of materials is something that we've been asked for a long time and haven't been able to deliver. Our front end is often pretty clunky. We need to do a better job of providing a better front end framework. And as the EdTech space has changed, what we've seen is a growing need for better integration with learning management systems, not just to meet what are current industry standards, but we think to sort of get in front of the puck and head where it's going in terms of deferring what functionality we can in a way that provides a better experience for our students and our learners. Really reducing the friction in being able to leverage our data and provide better mechanisms for learning analytics, taking better advantage of the cloud-based scaling opportunities that are now state of the art. And finally, over the long term, we want to provide a better mechanism for providing a marketplace of content. I think right now OLI provides a limited marketplace, but we think there's an awful lot that we can be doing in that space. And so in the face of these needs, last year, we really undertook a large scale exploration to figure out what should we be doing about our technology. Aaron? And in a lot of ways, this is a very classic build, buy, update exploration. And we started off this with a very strong desire to leverage our existing code base or to piggyback on someone else's efforts. We think that the world of educational technology, and in fact, the world of technology in general, is littered with the remains of organizations that were going to kill off their current platform, implement a brand new one, and never really manage to get on top of that. And so, looking around at whether we could be able to continue to build upon the existing code base, or whether we should be looking around at some of the other open source platforms that are out there, guided a lot of our time over 2019. And we had invested fairly significantly in some authoring over the past 3 years. That's the Echo platform. And our experiences with that platform really helped inform this exploration. So beyond trying to find ways to see if we could leverage existing technologies, we had two pieces that we really wanted to emphasize. I think, I've been building ed tech systems since 1998, along with some of the other members of my team. And it feels the current OLI system is now the 5th platform that I've been involved in the development of. And we continue to see the same mistakes being made in these platforms. And so I'd like to see finally a chance for us to avoid some of these mistakes and to really make sure that we understand and are thoughtful about the kind of compromises that we're making on behalf of learners and educators inside of the technology. One key lesson from all of that is that the metaphor that we're building a system under tends to be baked in pretty rigidly in the architecture. The example that I'll give here is the Open edX platform. So Open edX, the metaphor is very much that of a classroom with this goal of trying to replicate a classroom experience. You have lectures, then you have discussions and activities. And during our build, buy, update exploration, we took a really long, hard look at whether we could add capabilities to the Open edX platform that would bring it up to the kinds of needs that we have at OLI. There was a lot that was appealing about taking that path, the existing investment, the larger community, and frankly, the amount of work that Candace Till and her team at Stanford had invested in trying to make that a viable path. And what we found is that in part because of this classroom metaphor, that there were a lot of things that it was either very difficult or impossible to layer onto the platform. So at the end of all of this, what we looked to do is begin development of a platform that extends and builds upon the work that we were doing in the Echo authoring platform. And so we're now on a path to begin developing the next generation of OLI. It is in many ways an expansion of Echo. And so we don't want to treat this as a greenfield development. But at the same time, this does give us the opportunity to leverage some new technologies, some new approaches, and hopefully to avoid some of the mistakes that we've made and some of the challenges that we currently have. And so, Aaron's slide. And so that has led to the launch of the Taurus effort. Taurus is what we've been calling OLI's next generation platform. The name Taurus, I think, was originally inspired by some of the simply fusion reactors. I think you're looking there at a picture of the European Energy Agency's tokamak reactor. The metaphor being that we want to build something that is powerful, yet as simple as possible. And so this was the Taurus effort. Taurus seemed like a fantastic name. It sounded sciencey, it sounds exciting. What I've discovered over the past 6 months is that the depths of my Pittsburgh accent take the word Taurus and make it sound like Taurus. And so we've now got lots of members of the outside community thinking that we've named our system for a bull or a constellation rather than a reactor. It turns out I have not managed to get all of the Pittsburghians out of my voice, but Taurus it is. So what is Taurus? When we launched this effort, what are some of our key goals? And one of the first was that we recognized that with our current growth path, we really needed to be able to have a platform that could scale both our development and our student use by an order of magnitude in a way that can dramatically lower our costs, both for development of technology and of content, but also for ongoing hosting and support. If we're going to be opening the gates and trying to get a broader population engaged in the act of building OLI courses, we wanted to do a better job of embedding instructional design intelligence into the authoring and improvement process. So really provide some scaffolding there, particularly for new users. We also want to make an effort to defer any non-core functionality to the learning management system. And I think this is a pretty important point, and so I want to hammer on it. I think one of my lessons from the past 10 years in and around what's become the Simon Initiative is that we often begin our new EdTech and research projects with this really core nugget of an amazing idea. I want to build a better tutor. I want to build a better adaptive courseware system. But to support that work, we end up needing to wrap it in additional functionality, right? So we need capabilities for for user management. We need better capabilities for authorization. Once we've got those, we realize that if we're going to get students to use this, we probably need some scheduling capabilities and some permissions. And at that point, we want to be able to do some grading. And once I've got to do some grading, I need to build a grade book. Now I might as well throw on some discussion capabilities so we can have student-to-student interactions. And at the end of all this, what you've done is taken your really core good idea and you've wrapped it in an enormous, poorly designed learning management system. system. It's not a learning management system that you wanted to build. It's not a learning management system that your instructors or students want to use. They already have an LMS. And maintaining those pieces end up being one of the most expensive and time-consuming parts of keeping production level of EdTech. And so our goal was to see wherever possible, given emerging standards of interoperability, we could defer any of that capability back to the LMS. The shorthand for this is, after 20 years in EdTech, I never want to build another gradebook. Let Canvas do it, let Blackboard do it, let someone else do it, no more gradebooks for me. Sort of beyond that, we wanted to make sure that we were able to really provide tighter integration with the larger OpenSimon ecosystem, better capabilities around learning engineering, retain OLI's strengths. And I think the last point, and one that's really important, is that we needed to maintain a path for full migration. Every alternate strategy that we considered, whether this was Open edX, whether this was buying onto a commercial platform, involved either paying enormous amounts of money to port content into the new system, or simply abandoning some old course efforts and saying, look, if your course doesn't come over easily, you've got to rebuild it by hand. That didn't seem acceptable to me. I think that the stewardship aspect of OLI, of the investments that our foundations have made, but also of the investments that many of you have been making in 2 decades worth of content, really needs to be honored. And so no course gets left behind. Absolutely essential. Operationally, we have some places that we need to make some improvements. Aaron? Thanks. How can we provide better rapid publication, updating, and customization, things that are just a known ongoing challenge for the legacy platform? Better, more elegant user experience that can be updated, changed, and customized in slightly easier ways. Better support for adaptivity. We also have seen a growing desire for course authors to start with existing open educational content or even non-open content. And so we really wanted to build out some improved capabilities for ingesting material into OLI, but also allowing folks to get content back out of OLI. We're often out preaching a gospel of interoperability and of openness. And so to really put our money where our mouth is, if we're going to allow content to come into our system, we also want to make it easier for others to pull content back out and use it in other contexts. Finally, on the business side, one of the things that has kept me up at night over the past 8 years is how we ensure the long-term sustainability and viability of the OLI project. And along those lines, we really needed to make sure that we have good models for ongoing hosting and support, technical development, content creation, continuous improvement. One of the paths towards that, we believe, is fully committing to an open source approach to developing Taurus. And so the software is being developed in the open. And this has already drawn much greater community interest and investment. I'll talk about that in a bit. We think that by heading in this direction, we can keep our focus on building more effective learning experiences that others will want to use and that people are willing to have their students pay for, because we are able to demonstrate effectiveness in the learning space. By scaling that broader community of research or of use and practice, we're also then able to grow our research base, and that includes ongoing research funding. So on the whole, what we're looking at is to really have a better system that both not-for-profit higher education, but also some of the vendors out in the world are interested in participating in a way that clearly shows here's the value of using OLI courseware. And I think some of that value has already bubbled up to the forefront because of the results of the COVID crisis in a way that's pretty interesting. Last piece here, and I'm just going to move through this quickly. We also want to make sure that we are not just supporting our current model for third-party and custom activity integration. We know that we need to continue to support the great activities and labs that have already been developed, but we also want to make it easier for others to come in and engage in development in this effort. For those of you that have been developing OLI custom activities over the past decade, you know that it's become, that it's a challenge to integrate and to maintain. We need to make an easier process that we think is going to emphasize a web component-based approach. So 2 key takeaways here. Existing integrations, we will be continuing to support. We've already been making headway on this, but we also want to make it easier for folks to deliver and build new kinds of activities in the future, because we think that those kinds of customized approaches have really been one of our continuing areas of strength, that OLI courses are often at their best when we have a great set of content that is based on our core capabilities that is then supplemented in ways that really drill into specialized kinds of activities or specialized kinds of domain knowledge with these customizations, with these super activities, as well as these activities really being the place that has facilitated new kinds of research approaches and research agendas. And so we have been working to build out and test some initial varieties of the Taurus platform since the beginning of 2020, and I wanted to emphasize that we have not been going out and building this alone. That we've already been working pretty closely with a couple members of the CMU Simon community. It's sort of from the beginning, we've really been trying to maintain tight integration with the work that's happening in Eberly, sort of highlighting their input into the process. And as we look ahead to the next year, we're really looking forward to the Eberly team being able to help support ongoing outreach inside of CMU. One of our first demonstrations of integration has actually been push button export for DataShop. And so one of the exciting things for Taurus is that getting your data out will no longer require an email to Raphael or Jean and then a waiting period while that gets processed. Taurus already supports push button export for your data. And we've been doing some early integration work and explorations with Bazaar, with the CTAT team, with Majd and the SAIL team, not just around lightweight integrations, but around visioning what the future of the platform could look like to expand capabilities and provide richer integrations, richer data sharing, and better capabilities in that space. I also wanted to note that we have already been attracting broader interest from the larger community and collaboration. Much of the growth that you saw in that earlier chart comes from some really deep work in partnerships, particularly around the SUNY and University System of Maryland. Both of them have been really involved and interested in what Taurus is going to enable and has been providing a lot of input on that side. But one of the largest collaborations that we've seen growing has been some work with ASU, specifically with their team at the ETX Center. This one's fairly large scale, and there's a really nice write-up on this from Michael Feldstein on his eLiterate blog that was just published at the beginning of the week. And I want to highlight this one both because it shows the real breadth of community interest, but also because it's starting to have a real impact on our development path. For those of you that aren't aware, ETX has a number of different adaptive learning environments that they've built using the Smart Sparrow authoring and delivery platform. We had been having some conversations with ETX last year around questions of how might we better facilitate interoperability and an improved ecosystem across different kinds of adaptive courseware providers. And that conversation gained some urgency at the beginning of this year when it was announced that Smart Sparrow had been acquired by Pearson, and Pearson's interest was in Smart Sparrow's next-gen product. They were not going to be continuing to support current adaptive learning environments that have been built out by Smart Sparrow. So this leaves ETX with a real challenge. They've got all of these existing learning environments, and they have some deliverables, and that they need to keep building new things for Department of Ed grants and for some NAFSA grants, and they don't have an environment in which to build or develop these things. There's a larger and interesting side note here about what this suggests, both with Smart Sparrow and some of the other players in this space, on some pretty profound instability in the larger adaptive courseware marketplace. That's one that I'm happy to talk about offline if anybody wants to engage in that. But what this sort of immediately brought to the fore was an opportunity that ASU looked at us and said, well, we see that you are already committed to this Taurus effort. You're committed to making an open sourced and interoperable solution. What if we work together to develop a new set of capabilities in your platform that would allow it to play our existing Smart Sparrow activities, but that would then also allow for the continued authoring and development of these kinds of adaptive activities in the future. And so this has launched what's been a pretty profound collaboration with ETX starting to make some real investments in the development of the Taurus platform, and with us really working together as a collaborative, both to go out and get additional participation, and frankly, starting to look around and find some additional sources for support. Lastly, we've been seeing some real support from the Empirical Educator Project and from Unicon, both of whom have had some broader interest in the Open Simon Toolkit and have seen this collaboration as a nice way to start pushing the adaptive curricular marketplace in different directions. And so, what we have now is a shared vision internally and externally of Taurus as an open source reference implementation for the next generation of interoperable and adaptive courseware. So we see Taurus as really supporting the work that we all do here at OLI, but we're also already seeing it being picked up as the broader vision for what the standard might be for these kinds of courses and the ways that they can engage in both effective delivery of learning, but also in ongoing research. So let's take a quick look. I've been talking a lot on the abstract. Let me talk a little bit about where Taurus is, what the roadmap is, and where we are headed. Just to call out some key milestones to date. As I mentioned, we spent a lot of 2019 trying to understand what were our authoring needs, whether we should be looking at a build or a buy decision, eventually leading into some experiments around different ideas, including the LMS deferment, some proof of concept prototyping, and a formal launch of the project in January, just in time for things to get rolling before we all got sent home from our offices. Despite that disruption, we've actually seen the team making remarkable progress. The first milestone release that we had targeted was for the LearnLab Summer School at the end of July of this year. And that has been a milestone that we've met. So when we think about the Taurus roadmap, our goal has been to have a series of feature releases that end up giving us some subset of OLI features that will allow new courses to be developed and will allow different pieces of existing content to be migrated over time. So current status, we've got ongoing active development with the OLI team and with our collaborators. We have our first production release of Taurus with a limited feature set. It only does some things. We've got some kinds of built-in activities. We've got 1 or 2 custom activities that we've seen built out as demonstrations. But it is being used, and it's become a point where we're looking for more active and ongoing input from you as our community, and hopefully more active participation. Taurus is definitely now in a position where folks can build smaller modules, whether those modules are targeted for straight learning. We've got a collaborator in Arizona who has built out some modules in general organic and biological chemistry that's being used by a few hundred of his students. We've also seen some folks starting to use these mini modules as a good place for smaller experiments and research. And that was really our vision for summer school, that we know coming in that many of our summer school attendees have this desire to build some targeted components, get the data back, and then make some actions upon that data, whether that's course improvement or whether that's a broader research agenda. Our question for summer school was whether we could have a limited feature set of Taurus that allows someone over a 1-week time period to be trained up on the system and our methodology, to build some content, to get it in front of students, and then to use the data that's come back. And that was something that we succeeded in over the summer. So when I think about the roadmap is built out over 6 lanes: authoring, delivery, activities, analytics, DevOps, and what's pretty critical, migration support. And across those lanes, we have sliced out 6 feature releases. So at each stage during our feature release, we end up identifying some smaller subset of components with the recognition that some of our courses use every trick in the OLI book, but most of our courses use only a subset of features. And so if we are strategic in the kinds of features that we are implementing, we will be able to migrate courses over time. I'm gonna just quickly show this roadmap. So what you're seeing here is the feature releases stretched out across those lanes. during our summer release, these were the kinds of features that we had implemented. And rather than monologue at you over the top of this roadmap, we'll end up sharing out a public link so that you can go take a look at this. And we're updating the roadmap as we go. But in terms of where we were over the summer, the mark that the team hit really effectively despite purely remote work was a production-ready limited feature set. What does it support currently? We've got rapid publishing, easy data release, iterative improvement, perfectly appropriate for some smaller academic classes and some larger experiments. And we really have been able to support lightweight Taurus native use for the fall. We are now on path for what we are talking about as the open and free release. Our goal with this open and free release was to try to migrate some small number of open and free courses and then move the open and free enrollments to Taurus. We think that this gives us a really nice chance to do some scaled testing and gives us a better understanding of what we'll need for more robust migration. We're continuing on this open and free path, although I'll note that some of the features have moved to later feature releases because of some of the evolving needs that we've seen with this relationship with ASU. And I'm just gonna skip across these next few slides. We can talk about what the specific feature releases are over time, but really just to emphasize some key points, which are first, we really want to emphasize that all of our legacy content is going to be pulled forward, that we're not anticipating any orphans. In fact, we've really made this a rallying cry. And we know that this will require not just a robust platform on the back end, but also really robust migration support. And so an OLI migration toolkit is a critical piece of capability. The plan that we've outlined allows us to slowly be ramping up on Taurus use. Ideally, we'll quickly reach a point where most new development is happening in Taurus, and we are migrating then an ongoing series of courses, recognizing that because most of our courses are using a subset of features, different feature releases will end up allowing us to start pulling these courses in. We continue to look for ways to expand our development capacity, and hopefully this is going to allow us to accelerate our pace. But at our current pace, we're in a good position to be fully migrated from the legacy platform before we hit end of life for our current Java stack. And really, in introducing all of this to you, the real goal was to start a process of ongoing outreach for design and for migration. Quickly, and I have not been looking at the chat log, so I don't know if anyone has been.
No, just Naburo asked about early on about A/B testing and RCT integration, which I think you touched on, since that is going to be something that we'll be diving into and developing requirements around. So.
Yeah, and just to emphasize that point, right? What we don't want to do is go off and disappear into a lab and then come back and say, look, we've fully realized our vision for A/B testing, right? What we really need to be hearing from our research community is, what does those A/B testing capabilities need to look like? And what are features that are going to be important there? And so this is called out very explicitly in the next year community outreach vision that Aaron shared out.
One thing we noticed often is a lack of linkage between DataShop data and the actual version of OLI course used. So if you can make that linkage explicit, that would be good. And then if we do lots of A/B testing, that need would increase.
That's a great point, Varu. And I think we're already at a place where we're better able to mark what's being sent over to DataShop. The current production system for Taurus, when we talk about that push button export of DataShop data, it's tying it very explicitly to a current version. And that's a little bit easier because we haven't yet implemented those capabilities for mixing and matching curricula that also often are what sometimes throw our that linkage into disarray.
Any other questions? I mean, we're happy to entertain them, but I'm sure you guys are probably more excited to see what comes next, which is a demo.
Great.
Okay. Well, thanks, Norm, for that whole introduction and stage setting. And now I'm going to turn it over to Eli, who is going to play a demo for us.
Sure, let me make sure. Oh, Aaron, do you have permissions to let me share the screen, or would that
I
be
do.
Norm?
I do. I just probably need to stop sharing there.
Huh. Okay. Let me move my Zoom controls. And please stop or let me know if you can't hear the audio playing. But I'll assume that it's coming through. So here we go. Today, I'd like to walk you through a demo of Taurus. If you're not familiar with Taurus, it's OLI's next generation course delivery platform, and it's hosted here at proton.oli.cmu.edu. If you haven't created an account, you can go to this site here and create an account directly. I already have an account, so I'm just going to sign in with Google here. And you can see that I'm taken to my list of projects that I'm working on or I've previously created. We're going to create a new project for this demo. We're going to call that project Matrix Algebra. Okay, and you can see that I'm taken to a details page here of my new course. I can change details about this course, like the course title, the description, and I can also invite others to come collaborate on this course with me just by entering their email and hitting send invite here. They will receive an email, and if they don't have a Taurus account, they'll be able to create one, or they can just use an existing one. Coming over here to the left, you can see I have a few different sections for options here. I've obviously got my account where I can manage my account information. I can go back to that projects page that we were just at and navigate to my different projects. But taking a look at these three sections down here, I have create, publish, and improve. And this kind of goes along with the way that courses are created over time. So initially I'm going to create my course here. I might create some objectives and then create the course curriculum. And then once I'm done with my course, I'm going to publish it so that instructors can use it in their sections and students can access it. And so I have some options for review and publish here. And then I can actually see how students are performing in the course. And that's done down here in the Improve Insights. So let's hop over to the objectives section here. If you're not familiar with learning objectives, take a look at the Eberly Center Guide. They've got a lot of examples out there, and it explains why learning objectives are important. So to get started here, let's create some learning objectives. And I'm going to hop over to some notes I've been taking about this course that I'm creating. So I've got some learning objectives here. I'm just going to copy and paste them over here. So I've created two learning objectives that I can now use in my course. So let's go over to the curriculum. And in the curriculum, you'll see that there's really three different options I have here. I can create a practice page, which is an ungraded page that's going to contain some materials that I want my students to read or interact with. And then I can create a graded assessment, and that's actually going to grade the activities within that page so that I can send those grades back to an LMS or use those grades to get insights about how students are performing. And then I can also create containers and create a hierarchy to my course by creating a unit and eventually a module and section. So let's just create a unit, and we're gonna call it Unit 1 here. And if we go into Unit 1, we can create a practice page. So going into our practice page here, let's change the title to something a little more useful, and we'll just call it matrix multiplication. Now looking around at what we have here, it looks like we can create some content. You can see that I can simply type into this box here, and then I also have the ability to add more rich content like a table, a code block, images, YouTube, audio clips, and a web page. So hopping back over to my notes here, I've already just created some notes about what I want this content to be. So I'm gonna actually just paste this in here for the purposes of this demo. And maybe we'll make it look a little bit better here. I believe I also had a YouTube video here that I wanted my students to go watch. So I can actually add that YouTube video just by clicking this icon here, and I'm going to enter the URL, hit insert, and you can see that my YouTube video shows up right in line with my course. So let's say that I'm pretty satisfied with my static content here, and I want to add an activity for practice. So I'm going to click Add Content or Activity, and I'm presented with a menu where I can either add another content block, multiple choice, or single response. Let's do a multiple choice. And I'm presented with a dialog that's going to ask me, what learning objectives am I targeting here? And so this is a key part of course design, as I actually want this activity to target some learning objective that I'm later going to assess. So I'm going to select this solve problems using matrix techniques and algorithms here. Okay, and you'll see that my activity actually shows up right here in the editor. I'm actually presented with a live preview of my activity as well. It's not very interesting right now because I haven't added any feedback or content to it, but you can see that I can interact with it, and I'm actually getting the view of what a student would see with this activity. So let's actually edit this multiple choice activity and add some content to it. So taking a look here, I have a few steps that I have to go through here. I have to create a question stem. And to add a reference to what this is actually asking about, I'm just gonna add an image. I'm gonna hit upload here, and I'm gonna select matrices A, B. This is the image that I want to use. So you'll see that my image here is uploaded to our course media library, and now I can use it by clicking the insert button here. So this question is asking, is it possible to multiply matrices A and B? And I have my matrices A and B here. And for our choices, I'm just going to say yes or no. So coming back to my notes, I have a little bit of feedback I want to give depending on which answer they selected. So it's good to give feedback to explain why the selection was correct or incorrect. So for a correct answer here, which is yes, I'm going to paste this feedback saying that we have a matrix C that can be multiplied. Hints are another way to nudge the student if they get stuck on a problem. Typically, you'll start off with a hint that kind of restates the problem. Then you can add as many cognitive hints as you want that kind of step the way through explaining how to solve the problem. And then finally, there's a bottom out hint that's going to pretty much explain the answer to the student. Okay, so I'm pretty satisfied with my activity here. I'm going to head back to my page, and taking a look here, you can see that the activity that I just created is live, and I can actually view it and interact with it here. If I click yes, I get my feedback to that I defined, and that looks pretty good. So one other note that I want to make here too is that when I'm satisfied with this page and I want to see what this page is going to look like to a student, I can actually click this preview page up here, and you'll see that that it's formatted in the way that the student's going to see, and this is basically my page. All right, so that looks pretty good. And let's hop back over to our unit here. And now I want to create a graded assessment so I can assess this learning objective that I provided some practice for. So I'm going to click Add Graded Assessment. Matrix multiplication assessment. And you can also add more content to give context to this assessment. I'm going to skip that though and just go ahead and add just add an activity here. I'm going to add another multiple choice targeting that same learning objective. And if I go into edit here, you'll see that it's the same interface that we had before. The only difference here being is that this is going to be a graded activity because it's inside that graded page. So going back to my notes, let's ask a slightly different question here to see if the students really understood the content. Okay, and we can now reuse this image because it's already in the media library. So I'm going to insert that. Okay, and I think that looks pretty good. So we'll hop back out here. You'll see that there's my activity. Let's say that we do this for a few pages and learning objectives, and now we're ready to publish our course. So taking a look over here to the publish, we can do a quick review, which is going to be some automated steps that the system's going to take a look at our course and try and identify any issues that we might have. So if I click that, you'll see that I have some accessibility issues here, like missing alt text for that image in the multiple choice, and it looks like they're all missing alt text, but I'm going to ignore that for now. Typically I would want to fix this, but just for the demo I'm going to ignore these and head over to publish, and you can see that we haven't published this yet. But if I go ahead and click publish, so now my course is published and it's actually available to use from an LMS. So let's hop over to a Canvas instance here, and I'm going to log in. So here's my course in Canvas, and if you've configured Taurus using LTI 1.3, you can actually add it to the course navigation menu over here. So I'm going to click into that, and I'm presented with some getting started options here. So I'm going to go ahead and just link my authoring account here, sign in with Google. Okay, and you'll see that I'm actually presented with my courses here, and here's the one that we just created, this matrix algebra. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to go ahead and continue, and here's my course. So taking a look at my course here, you can see that I have the pages that I created. I have that ungraded practice page, and then I have that assessment. So I also, as an instructor, have some extra options here too, like manage grades. So I can hop over here and manage grades. And one of the things I can do is I can update the line items, which is really the gradebook columns based on the assessments that I have in Taurus. So if I click this button, now I can go over to the grades tab, and I can see that this matrix multiplication assessment tab is here now too. So let's take a look at this from a student view. I'm going to log in as a student. And here's that course that I'm a student in. And if I access Taurus, hopping into my course here, starting off with this ungraded practice page, I can actually read the material and watch the YouTube videos. And I'm presented with that practice activity as well. So, so I'm going to go ahead and click yes. And there we go. I'm presented with some feedback here. So moving on through the course, here as a student, I'm presented with an assessment, and it's a graded assessment. It tells me how many attempts I have remaining. And when I'm ready, I can start this attempt. So let's go ahead and start this attempt. And maybe I'm a little confused, so I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, these can be multiplied. Submit that assessment. Okay, and it's telling me how many attempts I have left, and I complete the course. And when I go over here to grades, you'll see that grade actually has showed up. And oh no, I got a 0 because I didn't quite read the material well enough. So if I go back in and I retake this assessment here, okay, I'm going to start my my second attempt. And now I've read the problem a little bit more clearly. It's saying B and A, and I've reread the material. So I'm going to say no, those matrices cannot be multiplied together. Okay. And I can go back over and you'll notice that my grade is just updating as I work my way through the material here. So coming back over, as a course developer, I may want to make some changes to my course over time. And even though that course is being used, I can still go in and add some more content here. Like maybe I add a new page, and we'll give this page just an example activity targeting that other learning objective here. So I'll make changes to this course, and if I hop back over to publish, you'll see that it's actually tracking the changes that I've made. Now these changes won't be live until I click publish, but as soon as I click publish, you can see that hopping back over to my LMS, if I go into Taurus, there's that new page that I just created. So we have the ability to update our courses as easy as a click of a button here as a course developer. One more thing that I wanted to point out too with Taurus, as hopping back over to my instructor account here. In this Manage Grades tab, I actually have some other options as an instructor to manage grades related to this course. So I can actually select a specific assessment that I want to resynchronize the grades for, and I can also download a CSV file of the gradebook. So there's something to keep in mind if you need some more advanced functionality related to grades coming from Taurus. So I hope you've enjoyed this demo. I hope that there was some useful content in it. And if you get a chance, hop over to proton.olat.cmu.edu. It's easy to create an account. You can use a Google or GitHub or your email. So thanks for watching, and we're really excited to see what kind of courses you can create. All right, that's all.
Thanks, Eli. Really appreciate that. So what does everyone think? There's been some good chat going on. And one question I know we didn't answer is Ben's about CTAT's idea of mass production. I mean, I started to type, but just want to say, I mean, this is really hopefully the first of many opportunities and interactions with all of you to really start to gather your needs for functionality and requirements, and feed those to the tech team and get a good thing going where we're constantly reaching out and making sure that we keep you abreast. I mean, that's what this community is for. It's why we're calling it a community, because we really set this up with a series of meetings right now that will be monthly, and they're all posted on the website. If you were able to get to that, I could show it in a minute, to show the series of meetings that will be going on. But it's not going to end there. We're really going to use those meetings as an opportunity to dig in to certain functionality, but also find out who's interested from all of you where the interest is, where we can maybe even have some smaller groups and coordinate more with Eberly as well to, you know, build out a lot of these pieces. So sorry, I'm just taking a chance to look at the chat again. Michael, is there some reason that the question responses and feedback are not together? I mean, it's just the way it is right now, and as far as the UX design. But again, we'll be taking feedback from all of you. This is the first time many of you are seeing this, so I'm really excited to see your reactions and hear any other feedback that you have. You want to come off mute and talk at all? Chat. Well, in the meantime, let me pull up the, I also had a quick presentation to talk through, just a couple slides to talk through the community meetings. If you give me a minute here.
Mark, just to, Zach just answered in line, but for the public audience, there's a question about high stakes assessments versus inline assessments. That was something that Eli's video showed, where the high stakes assessment was that final, you know, this is graded, start your attempts now, where the inline assessments were the multiple choice question on the page itself. So yes, we do definitely have that notion.
Yeah, there might be some changes, slight changes in, you know, terminology and what we call things because of the change in how they function. But again, we will be supporting all of the existing functionality that is there now in OLI and that you know and love. As we migrate courses, more of that functionality will get built out as more of it is needed to support specific courses. Just looking at the, so yeah, we do have that review, and we have insights that show that will give you the design audit. So to give you that view of where everything is connected, what objectives have practice, or where you have activities that aren't tagged. Oh, that's a good question, Mark, with the low stakes assessments feed the learning dashboard. Again, I think that's a question yet, because with the low stakes assessments, it all feeds the dashboard now, so it'll feed the dashboard in the future as well. Oh, thanks, Zach. So I just wanted to show you and talk more about these community meetings. Again, I said they're monthly. The general format for those meetings will be a description of a specific topic, and I have the list of topics for each meeting listed on a web page. And again, I'll show that. But we really want those to be open discussion and brainstorming. We're not going to be there to present and, you know, to just present and talk at you. It's really an opportunity to gather feedback and really brainstorm about certain functionality and issues with the platform. So I'd really encourage you all to come to those, and especially the ones that you're particularly interested in. So topics will range from, you know, concepts that are not yet implemented in Taurus and how we might want to tackle those. It could be maybe show a quick demo of what's been done up to that point and get some feedback, and maybe have some more specific questions to ask that we might want to drill into. But most of the time, it's going to be about how you use it now, or how you envision using it in the future, and how that will be translated into requirements. So the meetings, yes, how do you get invited to the meeting? So this same Zoom link that you're using right now will be used for all of the meetings. There's only one registration set up for all the meetings. So if you registered for this one, you just keep using this same Zoom link. I didn't want to put it publicly on the website, so we put it behind a registration, but you can always go through that registration process again or use the same link. We'll also be hosting, hopefully, or plan to, what I'm calling domain specific meetings. So maybe meeting specifically with languages or specifically around specific domains like biology or life sciences or something like that, because we found that certain groups of courses, certain domains require different functionality as well. And so we want to make sure that we get all of that from you in terms of requirements, but also how has it worked in OLI to date and how could it be better? Thanks, Hal. Hal's posting all of the meeting times. And I can even show, so let's see, what else do I have here? So the next one, again, this is the link, and I'll also be putting recordings of these meetings out on that same web page so that if you missed one or you want to just catch up and know what's going on, you can go out and look at those. The next one's on January 8th, and it's going to be more around just lessons learned in general. So just trying to get a sense for maybe what your pain points have been to date with either authoring or delivery of OLI, and start to get a sense of how you might want that to happen differently in Taurus. So that's all we really have for you today. And so if you have questions, more questions, we're willing to stay on and take them, or just want to talk and brainstorm about some things, maybe get your some wish list items to us ahead of time. So we might even want to hold additional meetings around things that aren't on the list right now for these meetings.
So Aaron, can I ask a question about Echo? I'll just ask it. Is it going to be supported going forward, or is it no longer going to be updated?
It's continuing to be supported. So even as you're working in it now, if there's things, bugs or new things that you need, please don't hesitate to tell us. We're still supporting Echo at the moment. Until all of the courses are migrated over, I can imagine we'll continue to support Echo until we're to a point where everybody feels like, all of their courses are being supported fully in Taurus and we can do the switch over.
Yeah, I mean, there's some bugs that I reported months ago that I guess haven't been addressed with formatting.
Okay, if you want, if you want to send those to me and I can champion.
Sure. Thank you.
Sure. So there's a question here about Canvas. So we spun up a Canvas instance because we are making use of the features of LMSs more fully. And so that integration is really important with an LMS. It doesn't have to be just Canvas though. It can be any LMS that's being used really. Like right now, I think we can you use Taurus without Canvas? No, we're really, again, making that tight integration with an LMS, but we're hosting a Canvas instance for those folks who don't have one.
So as far as I know, you can use it with any LMS, but there has to be an LMS. So to answer the question more directly, it doesn't have to be Canvas, but there has to be something. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks, Greg.
Yeah.
It might sound limiting, but the more that, and I was even skeptical of that at first, but the more we build out these features and functionality, it's really, I found a very nice integration with the LMS. And again, if you don't have an LMS, we will have, we'll be hosting an LMS to work through. So you can use Taurus now to start any new developments. I encourage you to go out to the, oh, that's what I should probably show. It's the GitHub repo link where we have the roadmap, and you can watch the development unfold as it goes. So let me get you that link. Just give me a second here. and I'll put this in the chat. So here's a link to our GitHub site. And let me find my window. So there's the GitHub site, and then let me give you the link directly to the roadmap. And so that will give you a good sense for when certain functionality will become available. And oh, this is the sprint roadmap. Let me get to, yeah, that's what we wanted. Yeah, sorry, I thought I maybe gave you a wrong link. Okay, so yeah, you'll have, you won't be responsible personally for moving your courses to Taurus. Like, we will be supporting that effort the whole way and probably driving it in coordination with you. Are there any questions I haven't that I've missed? Sorry, I'm just looking at chat to make sure we didn't miss any questions. There's a question here about LMP and being the latest group. I would probably say that the more custom type activities that you have, I wouldn't say that automatically puts you last because we want that functionality. You know, we have no, I'm not really sure how the roadmap was determined in terms of when courses are ported. I can imagine it's probably due to complexity. But yes, we can talk as early as possible about options and how and the handling of that. Yeah. I think any conversations that we have as early as possible is just going to be, you know, better and make for a smoother experience down the line. I think that was the only question I missed. Well, I hope you all are as excited as we are. I think this is going to be really interesting and, you know, a great new look and new functionality and support for better support for the things that we've always done, but also more support for things that we've been wanting to do. So I'm really excited to work with each and every one of you to develop this out and start using it as soon as possible. In fact, we should probably put the link to Taurus in chat as well, so that you can start to sign up and get an account and start to play. And that is, it's proton.oli.cmu.edu at the moment. Just put it in the chat. So I encourage you all to go out and sign up for an account and start playing with it. And if there's no more questions, I mean, I'll stay on for a couple more minutes and entertain questions or discussion. But thank you all for coming and participating, and hope to see you soon again at either the next community meeting or in just talking through requirements for your specific courses, or see you in working in Taurus.